So now I'm going to go into why did I detransition? This was a whole journey in itself that also involved a relationship that I won't go into details of, but I will talk about it if it's relevant to detransitioning. So, first, there was one specific moment in time where I thought I made a mistake. And then there was an epiphany where I thought, I'm done. This isn't me. So, the moment my ex, not my recent ex, the one before that, who I will talk about the recent ex a little bit, he had admitted to cheating on me with his roommate. He just straight up admitted it because he was cruel and always nasty. He had wanted to propose to me and have kids with me. That was his big plan. But the kids were going to come later. He said that he still wanted that with me. I kind of just hung up on him. And in my head, it was like a sort of movie where I saw my life play out in different ways. There was one reality where I did stay in this relationship and he did propose to me in the way that I wanted, which was on a beach. I've always wanted to be proposed to on a beach. But then I would be proposed to looking how I looked, which was with facial hair and short hair and a chest binder and huge and gross. Gross in my eyes. And then what? I would have my wedding and I would wear a tux. I I never wanted to wear a tux. Then what? I'd get top surgery and then I'd get pregnant and I'd be with this guy that I don't even love. Or there was this other reality that I had when I was little. This version of myself that I had always sort of envisioned. Even throughout my transition, I always kind of felt it deep in my soul that I was eventually going to live as a woman again, as a female again. There was always this little voice that would kind of say, do you really never imagine yourself wearing a wedding dress? Do you really never see yourself with long, pretty hair and makeup and like your mom? I just felt it. I felt it. I'm very intuitive. I feel things so deeply. And I felt that throughout the entire transition. There was this reality where I was a beautiful girl and I had a gorgeous husband, not this not this weird smelly Discord mod that I had been dating. I had a beautiful prince, a beautiful wedding. I looked like Cinderella. I didn't see myself not only with this guy, but just hiding forever. It felt like I had to drop the act. It felt like I had to drop this Jaden character. So I think that was a specific moment where I felt like it wasn't me. I even have screenshots of me being insecure and being almost fed up with being a boy. I didn't like it. I wanted to be a beautiful girl, even though I felt like I couldn't be. And shortly after that, I was essayed pretty violently. It was my first time. And then after that, I met my ex. Not the ex I was talking about, the ex after that. Not the ex, the ex. He made me feel feminine and like myself and like bubbly and pretty, even though I wasn't. I just felt that way around him. I felt like, yes, this is my escape. I can stop taking testosterone. And what really pushed that was that he wanted to try to conceive with me because he was older than me and reaching that age of, he should be having kids, I guess. And I was just so excited, so happy. Yeah, I finally have this opportunity to be in love and have kids like I always wanted to. I stopped testosterone to conceive, even though I knew it probably was going to take a while of my body recovering and restarting. And after that came this epiphany. The epiphany was I was chatting with my friends from that high school about how I felt. I told them I did not feel this way anymore. I told them I have always imagined myself as a mom and a bride. And I thought they were going to be supportive because that's how they paint themselves is we're supportive and accepting and loving and we're your family and we're always going to be there for you. But that's not the reaction I got. The reaction I got was you only feel this way because you met some guy and I think you're just confused and maybe you're just non-binary. You don't have to be a girl again. I think, you're just bi gender and all this stuff. And they tried to hold interventions with me multiple times. They're like, let's just discuss this. Let's just figure out what you're actually feeling. In that moment right there was when I put my foot down and it was this epiphany of like, wow, this is really weird. This is gross. I said no. I said no. I'm not going to be doing that. This is who I am. I am not a boy. I'm not. And I never have been. That's not me. It's not me. I guess a boy kind of made me feel that way, but it was kind of just an opportunity. It was another opportunity, but it was an opportunity to escape. Because finally I had the opportunity to have my kids and have my love. It was the same as me waiting for an opportunity to transition. Like Cinderella, people say she had to have a man save her. But in my opinion, Cinderella just stumbled upon an opportunity and she took it. She took that opportunity for happiness. In my opinion, that's her saving herself. Yeah, a guy was part of that happiness, but she's the one that was brave enough to leave and escape. She's the one that said, no, I'm going to the ball. She's the one that said, no, I'm not staying here anymore. I'm going to have my happily ever after with my prince. Goodbye. No, thank you for the abuse and for grooming me into being your little servant. I wanted to be happy and I wanted to be a mother and a wife. Even though currently I'm nowhere near any of that, I don't even have a boyfriend. So my experience detransitioning, the health issues I went through, honestly, it was very awkward for me detransitioning. But it was weird because it was exciting. I knew that I didn't make a pretty girl. I was overweight. I mean, I was almost 190 pounds. I'm 103 now, for reference about how much I lost, which I will go into why I lost all of that weight. I was starting to feel confident. I didn't feel pretty, but I felt like myself, and that made me happy. And my sister and mom were so excited. They took me shopping, they bought me makeup, but I did feel strange and almost like a fraud. When I would sit in a room with my female cousins who are my age, I felt like, what kind of right do I have to jump back in when I didn't live this life that they did. Other girls, like I said, they had their prom and all these experiences and female friends. I don't know how to explain the feeling. I felt like I didn't deserve to be female. As strange as that sounds, because I am female, but I was happy in the beginning of the detransition. I was going to leave out the part of me trying to conceive with my ex because I didn't want it to have an effect on any future relationships that I might have. I don't want a future boyfriend to be uncomfortable with this information, but I feel like it's too important to leave it out. It was a part of my journey, and I don't think that I should just ignore it and hide it. But I was trying to conceive. And I don't mean, doing the deed and then thinking that's trying. I was trying. I had my LH strips. I was tracking my ovulation. I ovulate day 21 of my cycle. I knew exactly when I would get my period. I was temping. If you don't know what temping is, I'm not going to explain that because even I was confused during that whole process. So we would try. It wasn't happening. Every negative test, every negative test, every negative test caused a negative reaction. I mean, it got to the point where I was just having crying fits, bawling, wondering if my body was even working, full of so much regret and fear that it would probably never work again and that I had destroyed myself and I would never hold my baby. I know you're probably thinking, oh, why would you just jump to that conclusion? Well, I had taken tea. And of course, I knew that it would take time for my body to flesh it out. But why did trans guys get pregnant on testosterone and I didn't get pregnant on my ovulation days? That was my thought process. That was my questioning. I had taken birth control cleansers. I was like eating foods and teas that would clear out my system. I was doing everything and it never happened. And during that whole process, I was having ovarian cysts. I would get ovarian cysts on my ovulation days and then they would burst within the next ovulation day. And I knew it was during my ovulation day because I was tracking. And that alongside the pain, it was obvious. God, it was so painful. Sometimes the pain would travel down my leg. Sometimes I couldn't walk. I couldn't sleep on my side. Sometimes I couldn't sleep. And when they would burst, I was just terrified the entire day. It was horrifying. It was so scary because your ovary can twist. You could lose your whole ovary. You can bleed out and need surgery instantly. It's dangerous. It's weird. Sometimes I still can't sleep on that side for very long. It's almost like sore and irritated and kind of tired. It's weird. To top it all off, I couldn't conceive. So constantly in my head, I was just blaming myself all the time, wondering if I'd ever have the one thing I always wanted, which I am fertile, but I will discuss that at the end of the video. And the health issues didn't end there. One night I woke up to an excruciating pain. And that's to put it lightly. I woke up screaming. I woke up screaming that I was gonna die. I just kept screaming over and over again, I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. The pain was... My sister thought I was over exaggerating, but she rushed me to the ER. I was not over exaggerating. I really thought I was dying. I sent my ex a whole paragraph that I might die. I was convinced. I went to this hospital earlier this year because, of course, I still have remaining health issues, and I couldn't do it. I walked in there and I instantly started crying. I had anxiety. I ran to my dad. I wanted him to get me the hell out of there as fast as he could. Very weird, but Anyways, I went to this hospital. That's when he told me I had an ovarian cyst, but the pain was right here. And he was like, yeah, I can't explain that. Time passes, and that's when I experienced all the cyst stuff after that. Gosh, one time when my cyst was bursting, I went to the ER because it was so painful. I was scared. Time passed, and this was the day that I had just done an interview for a job, and I was gonna get that job. I did get it, and the pain came back. This pain, I never want to experience anything like it ever again. I tried to endure it, hoping that it would go away, but I stood up from my bed and everything went black. There were only like a few specks in my vision where there was light, and somehow everything went black. I almost fell, but I ended up in my restroom and I was throwing up. And that's when I knew this is wrong. I have to go to the ER. I should not be throwing up from pain. Thankfully, a doctor did not give up on me. I was about to be sent home, and he was like, no, this is wrong. She shouldn't be screaming like that. And so he did an ultrasound. And instantly I knew something was wrong because of the way they were looking at the ultrasound. The nurse was calling over the doctor. I asked her, is something wrong? And she's like, we're still looking. We'll tell you after. And my gallbladder was covered in gallstones, and one had dislodged. They said it was so covered that there was no point in trying to save the gallbladder. I don't know if you know this. I didn't know this until it happened to me, but gallbladder attacks are one of the most painful things that you can experience. You can Google this. There have been pregnant women that had previously given birth say that it was more painful than birth for them. There have been pregnant women that had previously given birth that said, and they had a gallbladder attack, and they thought they were giving birth. They went to the hospital and said, I'm giving birth. And they're like, no, you're having a gallbladder attack. I'm not saying that it's more painful than birth because I don't know. I don't have that comparison. I haven't given birth yet. Maybe when I do give birth, I'll think birth is more painful, or maybe I'll think gallbladder attacks are more painful. I don't know. I'm just saying what other women have said, just to give you an idea of why I was screaming bloody murder. I knew that it was wrong. I knew that it had everything to do with my testosterone use. I didn't want to say it. I didn't even want to suggest it or admit it to any of my family because I knew that if I acknowledged it, I would be filled with even more regret and more self blame. And I had already been experiencing so much. I had been experiencing too much of that already with trying to conceive, with the ovarian cyst, feeling like my body was failing me, my hair not growing back fast enough, my hair falling out and still being too thin. It still is. This is extensions. My hair was never that thin. I had pretty thick hair as a kid. I had two surgeries, one to remove the dislodged stone, one to remove the gallbladder. They gave me an option on whether I wanted to keep it or not, but they did not suggest keeping it because there was so many. I didn't want to have it anyways, but there was a point in between that where a family member was giving birth about 2 days before my surgery in the same hospital on the floor above me. And of course, I was happy for her. I just wondered why isn't my body working? Why is there a whole floor of women above me where they're healthy and giving birth, and this family member that's around my age? Why is their body working but mine isn't? Why wasn't I able to conceive? Because we had been trying around the same time. So why wasn't that me also? Why am I so unhealthy when my family isn't unhealthy? No 20-year-old in my family is unhealthy. I feel like people that criticize detransitioners or try to downplay our experiences don't understand how it truly feels. You don't know what it's like to see other young people completely fine and you're in pain, excruciating pain. You have all these issues. It's a horrible feeling. You feel like it's your fault. If I had not just done this one thing in my life, I wouldn't have these scars. I hate it. And it's not jealousy, it's not envy, it's what's wrong with me? I feel like I have this sort of connection to motherhood that women that have never tried to conceive don't have. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I don't. But there's something about being so close to motherhood and just not getting there. There's something that it does to your brain, like genuinely expecting, okay, now I'm going to be pregnant next month, possibly. Your mind prepares for that. Your mind kind of, I don't know if that's what actually happens when you're trying to conceive in your mind, but that's what it felt like for me. Above me, their babies were breathing life and there was joy. Below, I was failing. Nowhere near where I expected to be in life at that point. I expected to be up there, not down here. Like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. That happens to everybody. That's pretty bad. You don't see me as a person, and you probably never will. You'll just see me as a bigot, but I'm a person. My family was scared for me. My loved ones, I have loved ones. I know that's so hard to believe. They were scared. They were visiting me. Even though I was barely conscious half the time, I honestly don't really remember, but I remember them being there and I remember being very happy to see them. The surgeon asked me for possibilities. Was I an alcoholic? Absolutely not. Did I do this or that? No. Did I have a family history? No. Of course I didn't. My family was healthy. And as soon as I told him about my testosterone use, he said, yep, that was it. He did not even hesitate. That was the cause. He I even asked how, and he said the gallbladder has a lot to do with hormones. He said especially if they fluctuated very fast. He was just convinced that testosterone was the cause. And it was pretty much like, yep, that was it. My life from 2012 to literally up till now, just a disaster. And it's so upsetting seeing other women that have just lived their lives normally. They're my age and they have boyfriends and they have a baby on the way, or they're engaged. And I feel like my life has just been. And I know that people have it worse. I know that there are detransitioners who have had top surgeries, GRS. I can't imagine the pain that they go through. I'm still fertile. I can still have my family that I dreamed of. Many can't. I had baby clothes. I had this bracelet with a name on it that I've always wanted to name my baby. I guess I have to put it down now. I don't have all my extensions in, so it looks weird. I just had it in for pigtails.